What's going on, everybody? You are now tuned in to the Triple M Boxing Channel, your source for all your boxing needs. We got some interesting news coming up here. We got our main boy, Turkey, partnering up with the man's Dana White to create the One Belt promotion. What is it? What is it called? TKO
TKO.
Promotions?
It's like I think it's like a tournament.
Yeah,
Just
it's
one belt.
weird. A lot of people are not happy with that. When I was looking online and looking on Reddit, seeing what people think, and the main concern that people are having is number one, the fact that Turkey's partnering up with Dana White. They think that they're not going to be paying boxers proper wages. That's the biggest thing. Number two, they feel that Dana White's going to ruin boxing. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, it's mixed feelings, man. I think the idea is correct. We all agree as boxing fans. There's four champions in one division. Like who is the actual champion? There could be a WBC champion, a WBO, WB. There could be one champion per belt. I agree with the idea. We want that belt. We want a one belt division where the guy is the guy. Like the belt holder is the champion, like UFC. However, I'm also with the side of like these belts have been in boxing for decades, and like the gold, the green belt, the WBC belt, these are all like nostalgic. You know what I mean? Like it's been part of boxing for a while. I agree with the approach. However, for me, if I could run it, I'll just get the four sanctioning bodies to obviously group up. It's going to be hard because that's all about money. But ultimately, they decide which one is the belt for the champion, Um, but I guess, like I said, that's wishful thinking. These are four different bodies, sanctioning bodies. And like, the idea is correct, but I agree with your concern. Now that Dana White is involved, we know that UFC fighters, they can compare to how much boxers make, it's a chunk of change for boxers. So I really hope that this partnership will pay boxers the same amount of money they've been paying, if not more. If we get that, if we keep that, and if we get the fights that we want under that league, would because now it's under one umbrella. If we get all the fights that we want at the right time, then I think that's a win for boxing. But it's going to be a lot of mixed feelings because, like I said, WBC, WBO, these are organizations that have been there for decades, man, and it's really hard to just let them go. You know what I mean? But what do you think?
I think it might be good for like people that are just getting into like the pro boxing scene. I think it'd be a good way to like build people up before they go onto like a big promotion like Top Rank or the Zone. For like people with like less than five fights, I think it could be a good like segue into
Yeah,
the bigger leagues. So I think there is going to be a good place for it, in my opinion. Obviously, it's not going to be like huge, huge, huge fighters in this promotion every single time, right? But for the people that are just starting out and they're just trying to make their way into pro boxing, I think it's great.
I
But
agree.
again, with the two other issues, it's too early to tell.
Yeah,
You know, we need to see it actually go down, see what the reaction's like with not just only the public but the fighters as well.
yeah. It's crazy because when you watch the face-off of Canelo and Skull, Turkey said no to all the belts being brought in. It was just the ring belt and that whatever belt, the TKO belt, and apparently Canelo will headline the first TKO event in September, assuming that's against Crawford. So yeah, like I said, it's a good idea. We all get how it works. We want a one belt champion, so there's no dispute. Either you have the belt or you don't. You're the champion or you're not. Um, and like I said, hopefully it works out for the better. And we'll that's one way to evolve boxing to actually know who's the guy at the division. So
It's true, man. I can't wait. Only time can tell to see if the systems and processes work, but I'm behind it. I'm not gonna lie. let's see what Dana White can do with boxing. Let's hope that he doesn't run it to the ground. But in other news, we have a fight card that is kind of confusing happening tomorrow. We got
Thur
kind of weird, right? Mr. Keith Thurman is fighting, but it's not a live event. It's only going to be a replay.
What's a live event in Australia when you're if you're there watching live, but I don't know, man. PBC is not showing it live. Um, I think it's they're showing the replay right at 7 p.m. 7 a.m. my time. It's kind of weird. You know, I get it. It's not a big fight. Keith Thurman's been off for 3 years. But regarding like broadcasting, I'm not sure. That's something they do have to figure it out. It is in Australia, so they have the main broadcasting. But yeah, I mean, we're not going to be able to watch it live, but I guess once we wake up, let's just not read anything. Don't look at, don't look at X or don't look at the news. Just go straight on YouTube, watch the fight, and then I guess you can look at it after. But that's one way to figure out to not spoil the fight. But what do you think about his quote unquote comeback fight, man? Thurman in that case.
Man, Mr. Thurman. In my opinion, like I don't think he should be fighting anymore, man. To be honest with you, like this, in my opinion, I think he's doing more damage than good if he keeps fighting. Having 3 years off, just trying to take on these kind of fights. It's like, bro, you had a great run. Just bury it. That's it. In my opinion, what are you gonna gain after potentially beating Brock Jarvis? Who
Yeah.
do you want next? You want a belt? I don't think so. In my
It's
opinion.
tough. I mean, you can't beating Jarvis won't get you a title shot. That's for sure. Who are you gonna get?
Yeah.
Backrom, Crawford. But yeah, I agree. I think he's at a point. The thing is, this guy missed, his quote unquote prime years. You can argue that what prime years were when you reach 30 to what 30, 35. I think 35 is getting a little too old. Maybe 30 to 34. That's your prime years. That's when you're the strongest. Um, his last fight he was 30 what 33. So
Yeah.
and then before that though he was fighting once every 2 years. So really since he was 30 when he fought Pacquiao, um, he had what 2 fights. This is gonna be his third fight, and now he's 36. So that's a lot of years, man. Quote unquote wasted because of injuries. But I think they're trying to set a not think, but I know they're trying to set a Tim Tszyu fight. In regards to a farewell fight, I think if you want to go out with a bang, I think Tim Tszyu is the guy or Errol Spence. These guys are both in that. Tim Tszyu coming off of a a devastating KO loss. He's fighting on April 6th, assuming he wins, assuming Thurman wins, which I don't know what Thurman's gonna show up, but this Jarvis is a guy that's coming up in weight. Got knocked out by Liam Perro in first round. If Thurman is what 65, 70% than what Thurman that we're used to, I think he gets the job done just because he's bigger. This is a first fight at 154, so he didn't have to cut much weight after gaining probably a lot of weight because he was out for 3 years. If he gets that win, then I think it makes sense for him to fight Tim Tszyu. You know, maybe, and I think that's where we'll gauge if he still can compete with these guys, or I think that's probably gonna be his last fight until he retires. Assuming he wins. If he loses, he's done.
Yeah, because man, you can't count this guy out, Brock Jarvis.
No,
Yeah, sure, he got KO'd in the first round by Liam Paro, but bro, his last two fights recently, he put those guys out.
yeah,
Right? And
and
what
he's
happens
active.
if he gets put out? If Keith Thurman gets put out this time?
He's
Bro.
active too.
Yeah.
That's exactly. And the thing is, we don't know. On
Mm.
paper, obviously, Keith Thurman. We're all Keith Thurman, but this guy hasn't fought in 3 years. He fought Mario Barrios. You know, but before that, he fought Pacquiao, and that was at what 2019. And he lost. So I think his last good performance was against. I'd argue it was against Pacquiao because it was a good performance. He just lost, by a point or two. But yeah, inactivity kills. And
Yep.
we've seen that time and time again with all these fighters. His reflex is going to be there. Is his power going to be back? Is is his mindset? And we got to remember he traveled all the way from the U.S. to Australia too. So he's not fighting in the U.S. He had to um what you call it? He had to travel 20 hours. So that's jet lag for you.
Yep.
So we'll see, man. I really hope he wins. Should he retire? Depends on his performance today. I want to see him with another guy that's on the verge of retirement as well. So we'll see, but I'm rooting for him tomorrow or later,
Me
I
too,
guess.
man. Well, yeah, in a few hours,
In a
we'll see
few
what
hours.
happens, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
just the last fight I want to touch on the co-main event, Mr. Michael Zarafa. He's coming up, co-main fighting Basir I. I'm excited for this one too, man. Like
yeah.
I've always been a Michael Zarafa fan, and I want to see him really. I want to see him win.
I want to see him get another title shot. I think he's put in the work. That loss against Lara was tough. But that's boxing, man. Lara went on and beat Danny Garcia, knocked him out too. First guy to ever stop Danny Garcia. He's still on to bigger fights as an old man. So there's a lot, and this is boxing. I want to see him. I want to see Zarafa still get the title shots. But of course, you got to build it.
Yep,
You got to build it. Hey, maybe you can get a Keith Thurman fight after if Tim Tszu's not available. So I think this is the first step. There's going to be many steps for him to get there, but we're there through and through, man.
exactly, man. So let us know what you guys think, man. Do you think this TKO Promotions is a good thing? Do you think Keith Thurman, we're gonna get the 100%
One
Keith
time,
Thurman? Do
one
you think so?
time.
One time for the one time, man. But let us know in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, we are the opposite of in.